Segment 2, Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine, a presentation of Sonny Hirsch and myself. Check us out on the web. Our site is ntnm.org. Besides for being able to watch the show on a regular basis in Chicago and in 35 north and northwest suburbs, we're on sporadically in Evanston. I don't know if we're ever going to get that fixed either, so sorry about that. And we're on everything's on YouTube, though, and you can catch the YouTube stuff even before it appears on the air. So if you go to ntnm.org, you can catch the YouTube page where you can catch all the previous interviews with my next guest or any guest I can in the last 10 years in its entirety, uncut. And I actually had a request this week from somebody who's in the Army Reserve or Marine Reserve to remove a show, and I won't do it because it's sort of like saying, well, you already printed this in a newspaper, just cut out the page. No. It's a historical archive that's going to stay exactly correct and right the way it is. But in any event, I'm taking away time from my guest, who does a lot of noble, very worthwhile things, who has gotten me involved in something that I was very proud to be a part of, and I wish it had been a little bit more successful, but some things are up to the Almighty. And that is the director of the Hinda Institute, and somebody who I think I interviewed for the first time over 30 years ago, Rabbi Binyomin Scheiman. How are you?
Outstanding, thank God.
First of all, my pleasure. And why don't you tell us about what the Hinda Institute does?
What we do is we visit any Jewish individual who unfortunately may have got involved in the criminal justice system. So we have rabbis going to Cook County Jail, Kankakee County Jail, Peoria County Jail, DuPage County Jail. We have the entire Department of Corrections, all the way from Stateville all the way down to Menard. And we have all the 5 federal prisons, including the one in Thompson, gets visited every month. Cook County Jail actually gets visited every single week. That's our sort of like our minor league team.
Right.
And some of the fellows never make it. They get released, thank God. But this way we have a connection with them. And the main thing we do is, starting from Cook County Jail, we contact the families.
Let me just say that the reason you say minor league team is because people haven't been convicted of serious offenses who are there yet. Most of them are either there waiting for trial or are there on a minor offense.
That's correct, and many just can't post bond. And we're working with some of the government officials also on the other end to change the bonding procedures so more people could fight their case from home and actually never go to the county jail, and just which is a much better way to fight your case.
Not just from that person's standpoint, but the fact is that this is something that Tom Dart has been talking about for a long time, is saving money in the jail itself.
Right.
That was something that, the state's attorney's office, whether it be the last one, who was my favorite, or this one, is also talking about that sort of thing. And, of course, Preckwinkle's always for not spending money, except on her own needs. But that's another story, and I don't want to get you involved in that.
So we do contact the...
I don't want to pay tax on Colby Shrill chocolate milk. Okay, go ahead.
So we do pay, we do reach out, and when somebody's in county, we already find who the mother is. Like the particular case that you said you were involved in, we already were in touch with the family until they were sentenced. And we were there to support the entire family. And from your involvement how diligently we worked behind the scenes to make sure that this young fellow should get a better sentence.
And as a matter of fact, everything was all set to go, with the exception of a very unreasonable judge who we'll be bringing up the next time he runs for attention.
Right. Now, what else is that when the people are released, and we have probably over the course of the year 1 or 2 dozen are released during the course of the year. I have one rabbi specifically, his role is to stay in touch with every person who gets released. Like today, a man got out 2 weeks ago. He friended me on Facebook, and he contacted me through the private messaging, and I said, give me a number. I'll have the rabbi call you to start studying with you. So, and again, I would say on my Facebook page, I have about 10 to 20, maybe even 30 or 40 offenders, present clients,
Wait,
and
I'm
they stay in
insulted.
touch.
I'm one of your Facebook friends, and I haven't been convicted of anything.
Well, I have thousands of
By the way,
Facebook friends, but
a lot of that has to do with having the right lawyer at the right time.
right, true. The 11th commandment: "Thou shalt have a good attorney."
Yeah, well, actually, I've only been arrested for things like traffic tickets, but the fact of the matter is that I always did have the right lawyer, even when I was
Right.
doing 95 on Western.
So, besides the studying, when these people get out, men and women, they need a place to live. They need help getting into a drug rehab center or a mental health facility. They need a job. So we also help with reentry, and we've networked with a lot of the Jewish agencies, the ARC, the Jewish Federation, other organizations that deal with drug addiction and mental health that aren't in the Jewish community, but we have connections to them. And we've now opened up a new office on Peterson Street where for family and reentry services. And that's at 3555 West Peterson, Suite 205. So if anybody wants to stop into the Hinda Institute office, you could visit our new offices. We're very happy, and that'll help us expand our services.
Yeah, boy, I've been in that building a lot over the course of time, I'll tell you that. When I was more in the graphics business, I've done business with everybody from the bottom floor to the top floor over there. So it's a really cool building, and Moshe Wolf does a great job running that place, too.
Yes, I would agree.
He really does. And let me point out, I wanted to point out before when you were talking about, you know, for those of you who don't know, and I always say this wrong, I mean this the good way, not the bad way, in case I say this the wrong way. The prisoners or people in jail that are under his chaplaincy, he has the best recidivism, I'm not even saying that word right, rate, which means people who do not return, which I mean that to say, people who do not return back to the criminal justice system, who stay out. I've said it the way where it sounds like, oh yeah, go see Rabbi Scheiman, because you'll be back in jail in a flash. No, the other way around. His rate and the respect he has, and the letters I've seen written, you know, on his behalf. And by the way, you're still in touch with those people we talked about.
Right. Every Friday, for instance, I make 50 to 100 phone calls wishing people a good Shabbos, and 80% of the people on the list are people that over the last 30 years have come out, and I still stay in touch with them, which is very important. And that's one of the reasons for the reduced rate of recidivism.
Thank you. I'm never going to say that right. I'm not even going to try. I'll let you be the one to say it.
Right. One of the keys for reducing recidivism is mentoring. And that's why we do have a staff member who is in touch. He studies with 36 individuals every week, an hour. People call me all week long. I get calls from people for advice. They're just having a tough moment, and instead of making the wrong decision, they have someone who they feel is non-judgmental. They could tell me anything, and I sort of keep them in line. And that helps not to go off the edge. It just takes 1 second for the wrong decision. So part of the key in reducing recidivism is A, finding the people jobs, housing, making sure they belong to the faith community, and then having that personal mentorship. And that really reduces the rates. We have 9 out of 10 people that we see stay out.
No, and thank God for that. I mean, that's, and no, I don't believe anybody comes close to that rate. And I can't begin to emphasize how important it is, how important the faith part is, because one of the reasons that, in my opinion, that we have the largest prison population in the history of the world, despite having one of the richest, if not the richest country in the history of the world, is increasing lack of belief in God. And that doesn't work in life. It just doesn't. It doesn't work in the next life either. But, you know, it's like he built things. I mean, let's get real about things. So you've got, how many full-time people do you have working for you right now?
I now, for the office, we just hired a administrative assistant, so that's our 4th employee. We have 3 rabbis either visiting or mentoring clients, and now we hired a full-time secretary to work on office staff and keeping statistics, everybody giving in how many people we visited, how many we're in touch with, to keep so we actually can show our rates of recidivism are low. So there's actual proof. So you know, all that's got to be.
The next people coming down the pipe when you need to show the judge something.
Yes.
And you go all the way to the tip of Southern Illinois.
Yes. I go to Carbondale once a month. One of our staff members lives full-time in Carbondale, also works as the Chabad rabbi on campus at SIU, and he visits all the Southern Illinois prisons. I go once a month, want to visit my kids and grandkids.
Yeah, no, it's a good reason, number one. I've actually been, I actually almost had a job in radio, thank God I didn't take it, in Sparta, Illinois.
Oh, wow. I know where that is. I've passed through it.
That would have been 70 hours a week, $84 for 70 hours a week. And I was not allowed to do anything untoward in public because people might not believe my weather forecast and scoff at me during a tornado warning.
Right.
Think, oh, what a horrible place. But that's where they used to mail Superman comics out of, for real.
And that's where the Superman museum is, down in Metropolis, Illinois.
Which is right nearby.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. No, there's some interesting things over there. So if people want to contact you and take advantage of your well, hopefully, first of all, try to stay on the right side of the law. But even if you do, and you do things righteously, I mean, there's times the law might pick on you when, you know, you're not the right person for it.
Yes.
So if people want to contact the Hinda Institute,
it's very easy. We have a website which has all our information. Hinda, Hinda helps.com, hindahelps.com. The first item.
by the way, Hinda is, of course, your late wife.
Yes.
And the mother of your children. And well, go ahead.
And one of the finest people. And you'll see there that this Friday I'm taking off for my Las Vegas lecture. I'm lecturing in Las Vegas about the work I do. And I'll be staying there over the whole weekend. And if anybody's interested in speaking engagements or wants to contact me to come to their men's club, their shul, their synagogue, wherever, I also do speaking engagements to explain the work that I do. And all the audiences love it.
And by the way, now that Sheldon Adelson isn't spending $650 million on the Raiders, you know, to build the stadium, maybe you can pry a little bit from him.
Well, if he lets me see him on Friday or Sunday, I will speak to him about it.
No, that would be a good thing. And Sheldon, I never met you. I never will meet you. But he's a good cause. Well, you know what? I'm not allowed to really say that on the air. But I guess, listen, you guys at cable know that I'm not quite directly soliciting here. We're talking about $650 million. It's out of my league and out of my imagination. Thank you very much. Rabbi Binyomin Scheiman, always looking on Facebook. He gave you his other contact information. The Hinda Institute, good luck in your endeavors.
And thank you for having me.
My pleasure.